Little Emma had always been a model student, never stepping a foot out of line. So when she was suddenly called into the principal's office and handed a suspension letter, the entire school was in disbelief. As she was being escorted out, Emma turned to the principal with fury in her eyes and uttered a question that made everyone's heart skip a beat. "Do you know who I am?" she asked. And as the principal looked into her eyes, he realized he might have made the biggest mistake of his career. Principal Jameson pretended not to have heard her, and he turned around, wanting to retreat into his office and close the door behind him. Had he missed something? Who was this girl? To make it even worse, Emma screamed out, "You will regret this!" And she stormed out of the building, leaving everyone speechless. One of the teachers, Miss Clara, quickly entered the principal's office and closed the door behind her. "Eric, what was that? Who is that girl?" she whispered, completely caught off guard by what had just happened. "That's what I'm going to find out now," he muttered as he looked through one of his drawers. The unexpected appearance of the mysterious girl has clearly left Miss Clara and Eric, the principal, bewildered. Their hushed conversation and the search for answers suggest that something intriguing or perhaps even concerning has just occurred. The unfolding story is sure to reveal more about the girl's identity and the secrets that may lie ahead. "Aha! Here it is," he said, as he finally found the file he was looking for, a list of all the students currently enrolled in their school. "Let's see, Emma in 4th grade. Emma," he mumbled as he scanned the list and looked for her name. "Yes, Emma. Richardson. That doesn't really ring a bell, does it? Do you know anyone else named Daniels?" he asked his colleague. To his disappointment, Clara shook her head. "Well, maybe it's nothing. You know how kids can be sometimes? Perhaps she was joking or talking nonsense. Or maybe she was just angry for getting suspended," she mused. "You're probably right, Clara. I'm sure it will be all right." The other students had been waiting in the hallway, and as soon as Eric opened his office door, they quickly turned their heads and walked away, avoiding his gaze. Eric thought they were just a bit caught off guard by what had happened, but that wasn't true. It was much worse. They knew who Emma really was. The sudden realization that the students knew the truth about Emma adds an intriguing layer of mystery to the situation. Eric's office door opening to a hallway full of evasive students suggests that there might be more to Emma's identity or past than initially met the eye. However, nobody dared to say a thing, and all the kids quickly returned to their classrooms where their teachers continued the class. Principal Eric had already forgotten about the whole incident by the end of the day, and a few hours later, he went home feeling satisfied. But sadly, this wasn't going to be the end of it. The story takes an intriguing turn as it hints that the incident involving Emma may have lingering consequences. While Principal Eric may have initially thought the matter was resolved, it appears that there are unresolved elements that will come back to affect him and the school community. When Eric arrived at school the next day, he entered his office unsuspectingly and planned to get a lot of work done that day. However, once he sat down at his desk, he noticed the note. At first, he thought it had to be a message from his secretary or another teacher, but when he opened it, he turned pale. This wasn't good. Principal Eric jumped up and hurried to the teacher's room. "Morning. Have you seen anybody enter my office since I left yesterday?" "Has anybody been inside?" he asked, but none of his colleagues could tell him anything. Not that it was really necessary. He could figure out whose note that was on his own. He was in trouble. The sense of urgency and concern in Principal Eric's actions suggests that the note holds significant importance and is likely tied to the unresolved issues from the previous incident. This note could only be Emma's. It said, "You will pay for what you've done." Eric tried to shake it off, telling himself that there was no way a 4th grader was actually threatening him, and he went on with his day. But no matter what he did, he suddenly couldn't forget about Emma and the note. And that wasn't even the worst part. Later that day, during lunch break, someone knocked on his office. "Come in," he said. And as he looked up, he saw that it was Teacher Clara. "There's something I think you should know," she said. Judging by the worried tone of her voice and the serious look on her face, "Well, what is it?" he asked, immediately worried by the silence that followed. "I'm not sure if it has anything to do with what happened yesterday. For all we know, it could just be a really weird coincidence, but, well, Emma didn't show up in school today. She hasn't been in class, and nobody has heard from her or her parents." Principal Eric turned pale upon hearing this. "Have you tried contacting her parents? We have their numbers, right?" he asked, but Clara shook her head. "We only have her father's number, and we tried calling him several times, but he isn't picking up his phone," she replied. Eric closed his eyes and held his head in his hands as he thought to himself, "This is a disaster." "You shouldn't worry about it too much, all right? I just came to let you know. I'll continue trying to get in touch with her dad, and I'll update you if I find out anything useful. I'm sure everything will turn out just fine," Clara told him as she put an arm on his shoulder. Then she left, and Principal Eric was left alone, worried and confused in his office. However, Clara's kind words didn't matter. Eric simply couldn't let go of this weird and nagging feeling that he had made a big mistake, and he breathed a sigh of relief when the last bell rang and it was time to go home. He really wanted to talk to his wife, Sandra, about this. She always knew what to say to calm him down. Eric's persistent unease and desire to seek solace in his wife, Sandra, highlight the inner turmoil he's experiencing. Despite Clara's comforting words, his sense of unease continues to linger, suggesting that the mysterious note and its implications are deeply unsettling to him. At dinner, Eric grappled with his decision over Emma's suspension, a topic that dominated the conversation. His wife, Sandra, tried to offer reassurance, gently reminding him of his responsibility as a principal. Their daughter, Lucy, chimed in, suggesting that there might be hidden reasons behind Emma's actions. The discussion left Eric riddled with doubts, pondering the complexities of his role and Emma's behavior. Alone in his study, Eric sat surrounded by his many commendations, each a testament to his dedication. He pondered deeply over his recent decision regarding Emma. Her question, "Do you know who I am?" echoed in his mind. Was it a simple outburst or indicative of a deeper issue? This question haunted him, making him question the impact of his actions on Emma's future. The next day at school, Eric immediately sensed an unsettling change in the atmosphere. Whispered rumors about Emma's suspension seemed to permeate every corner, creating a palpable tension. The hallways, usually alive with the buzz of student chatter, now seemed to be under a cloud of hushed tones and speculation, altering the school's typically vibrant environment. Eric found himself inundated with calls from concerned parents, each one echoing rumors and worries about Emma's suspension. As he fielded each call, he struggled to offer reassurances, his words often falling short. The growing unease and misunderstanding among the school community weighed heavily on him, highlighting the challenges and responsibilities of his position as a principal. Eric called for a staff meeting during the morning break. Standing before his team, he looked each teacher in the eye, attempting to project a sense of calm authority. "I know rumors are circulating about Emma's suspension," he began, his voice steady. "It's important that we stay united as a staff and focus on the well-being of all our students. Emma's situation is being handled with the utmost care," Eric assured his staff, trying to sound confident. However, a faint hint of uncertainty crept into his voice, revealing his inner turmoil. As the teachers slowly dispersed, their whispers filled the room, echoing Eric's own doubts. He stood there, pondering, his mind racing with questions. Had his decision been just? Was there more to Emma's story? Later, Miss Clara approached Eric with Emma's recent project in hand. "There's something here that you need to see," she said, her voice low and serious. The project subtly hinted at a significant and complex family background. However, Eric, preoccupied with the day's events and the weight of his responsibilities, overlooked the deeper implications, missing a crucial piece of the puzzle. Back in his office, Eric closely examined Emma's project. It was outstanding in its execution, yet he felt an undercurrent of something more, something he couldn't quite grasp. The name Richardson stood out to him, yet failed to trigger any recognition. Frustrated and perplexed, he set the project aside, still unaware of the significant connections and the story's unfolding layers that lay just beneath the surface. Amidst the day's unfolding revelations, Eric remained steadfast in his commitment to maintaining the school's stability. He walked the corridors, his presence a reassuring constant, ensuring that everything functioned as it should. Yet, as he moved through the school, he remained blissfully ignorant of the deeper, more complex story unfolding around him, only seeing the superficial layer of a much larger narrative. Eric received a formal meeting request from the school board, a development that filled him with anxiety. The news of Emma's suspension had reached their ears, and they demanded clarity on the matter. This escalation was beyond Eric's initial expectations. He understood the importance of meticulously preparing for the upcoming meeting, aware that his handling of the incident was under scrutiny. In preparation for the meeting, Eric mentally rehearsed his justifications for suspending Emma. It was the right decision, he muttered to himself, trying to fortify his stance. Despite his conviction, a nagging doubt lingered at the back of his mind. He knew that presenting a convincing defense to the board was crucial, yet he couldn't shake off the feeling that he might have missed something important in his decision-making process. Tasked by the board to compile a comprehensive report on the incident, Eric delved into Emma's school records and the events leading to her suspension. He sought to uncover any information that would justify his decision, feeling the pressure of this investigation. It wasn't just a routine review. It felt like the validation of his judgment was at stake. Eric meticulously reviewed Emma's academic records, expecting to find corroborating evidence for his decision. To his surprise, her records painted a picture of an exemplary student, consistently praised by teachers, with a spotless conduct record. This newfound information contradicted his impression of Emma during the incident, leading to a deepening confusion and a re-evaluation of his perceptions. Faced with the stark contrast between Emma's academic records and her recent defiance in his office, Eric struggled to reconcile these conflicting images. The discrepancies raised questions about his judgment and the potential complexities in Emma's case that he might have overlooked. This conflict left him pondering the accuracy and fairness of his decision. Determined to unravel the truth, Eric embarked on a thorough investigation into Emma's family background. He meticulously scoured school records and past reports, hoping to find clues that might explain her recent behavior and her cryptic words. Each piece of information seemed to hold the potential to unlock the puzzle surrounding Emma. Seeking further insight, Eric met with Emma's former teachers to inquire about her family life. Their descriptions of her as a quiet, star student and the apparent supportiveness of her parents during conferences offered no new revelations. These conversations left Eric without any significant insights into Emma's family that could elucidate the current situation. Despite his exhaustive investigation, Eric failed to uncover any new information about Emma's family. The absence of leads only compounded the mystery surrounding her. His initial confidence in understanding the situation was slowly eroding, replaced by a web of uncertainties and unanswered questions. He was not sure what was going on, and he was desperate to find answers. Further examination of Emma's records revealed a consistent history of academic excellence and commendable behavior. This portrayal starkly contrasted with the girl who defiantly stood in his office. The growing discrepancy between her past and present left Eric questioning the validity of his decision more than ever. He still hadn't been able to answer the question. Who was Emma, really? Was he ever going to find the answers? The suspension issue quickly snowballed as parents began openly challenging the school's disciplinary methods. Eric's inbox and phone were flooded with messages from concerned and upset parents. This backlash created a palpable tension within the school community, with many openly questioning Eric's judgment and the fairness of the school's policies. The once harmonious school environment was now marred by doubt and discontent, reflecting the growing unrest among the community members. The local media soon latched onto the story, bringing an unforeseen level of attention to the school. News vans became a common sight outside the school gates, with reporters eagerly seeking Eric's comments on Emma's suspension. This intense media scrutiny transformed the school from a respected educational institution into the center of a controversial public debate, placing it under a relentless and unwelcome spotlight. As the situation escalated, Eric found himself facing increasing criticism from parents and community members. His professional integrity and decision-making were called into question, each critique adding to the mounting pressure. The weight of the community's disapproval became a daily challenge, affecting his confidence and casting a shadow over his leadership. Amidst the growing discontent, Eric struggled to uphold the school's positive image. He held meetings with staff and sent out meticulously crafted communications to parents, attempting to quell the rising tide of dissatisfaction. Defending the school's reputation in the face of such widespread criticism became an increasingly daunting task, testing his resolve and leadership skills. The relentless pressure began to visibly affect Eric. His nights were restless, consumed by worry, and his days were fraught with constant stress. Emma's return to school marked a significant moment. Accompanied by her father, a man with a commanding presence, her demeanor was calm, yet distant. Her father's immediate request for a meeting with Eric, coupled with his stern and unyielding expression, added a new layer of apprehension for Eric, who was already grappling with the ongoing turmoil. In the meeting, Emma's father was terse and direct. His warning to Eric about the far-reaching implications of his actions carried an undercurrent of displeasure and veiled threats. Eric listened intently, a sense of unease growing within him. The father's cryptic comments suggested that the suspension was more than just a school matter, hinting at unseen ramifications. The encounter with Emma's father left Eric deeply unsettled. The father's ominous words, hinting at repercussions extending beyond the school's purview, resonated in Eric's mind. He pondered the unspoken implications, feeling increasingly convinced that there were critical aspects of the situation that he had yet to understand. What had the girl's father been talking about? Alone in his office, Eric mulled over the father's enigmatic words. Consequences of ignorance. The phrase lingered in his thoughts, alluding to something concealed, more significant than a mere disciplinary issue. This cryptic warning piqued Eric's curiosity and concern, leading him to speculate about the hidden dimensions of the situation that were slowly coming to light. As the day progressed, Eric began piecing together the fragmented information about Emma and her family. Each interaction, each tidbit of information he had gathered, seemed to connect to form a broader, more intricate narrative. It was a story that Eric was only just beginning to unravel, one that extended beyond the confines of the school and into realms he had not anticipated. In the tense atmosphere of the board meeting, Eric staunchly defended his decision to suspend Emma. He spoke with firm conviction, but couldn't entirely mask the undercurrent of unease that tinged his voice. The board members, with their expressions a mix of concern and skepticism, listened intently. Eric felt the gravity of the situation, his words carrying the weight of his career and reputation. A board member's casual mention of knowing Emma's mother caught Eric off guard during the meeting. This seemingly offhand remark sent a jolt of surprise through him, and his mind began racing with questions. Why was this connection only surfacing now? This unexpected revelation added a new layer of complexity to the situation, leaving Eric to wonder about its potential implications. The mention of Emma's mother set off a rapid chain of thoughts in Eric's mind. He began connecting various bits of information he had gathered, each piece bringing him closer to an important revelation. The puzzle pieces of Emma's identity and her family background started fitting together, edging him toward a fuller understanding of the situation. As the board meeting continued, Eric slowly came to a startling realization about Emma's mother. It was as if a veil had been lifted, revealing a completely new aspect of the situation he hadn't considered. This revelation altered his entire perspective, bringing to light the significance of Emma's family in the unfolding drama. Eric grappled with the weight of his previous ignorance. Not understanding Emma's family background led to a significant misjudgment. He sat alone in his office, feeling a mix of embarrassment and concern, realizing the possible far-reaching implications of his oversight on both Emma's situation and his own professional integrity. Eric's introspection and self-awareness reveal the depth of his character and the personal growth he undergoes in response to the situation. His recognition of the potential consequences of his actions highlights the importance of cultural sensitivity and understanding in educational leadership. After the meeting, Eric delved into a discreet investigation into Emma's family. The truth he uncovered was startling. Emma's mother was a figure of considerable political stature. This revelation cast the entire suspension episode in a new light, making Eric question the very basis of his decision-making process and the assumptions he had held. Realizing the political influence of Emma's mother reframed the entire incident for Eric. The suspension had transcended a mere disciplinary action. It now had broader, more complex implications that he had never thought of before. The enormity of his oversight became increasingly clear, shifting his understanding of the entire situation and its potential consequences. Eric found himself wrestling with a blend of fear and embarrassment. His lack of awareness about Emma's family had inadvertently steered him into a complex situation with potential repercussions he hadn't foreseen. The embarrassment stemmed from his realization of not having fully exercised his due diligence as a principal, a role that demanded thorough understanding and foresight. Reflecting on Emma's earlier words, "Do you know who I am?" Eric now grasped their full significance. Her question was not merely a rebellious retort. It was laden with the influence and implications of her family's status. This insight struck Eric profoundly, reshaping his understanding of their initial encounter and its ramifications. Eric's deeper understanding of the context behind Emma's question provides a crucial perspective shift in the story. It highlights the impact of societal dynamics and power imbalances on personal interactions and reinforces the idea that there is often more beneath the surface than meets the eye. Facing the press, Eric took a deep breath, his voice steady, yet tinged with regret. "Today, I publicly apologize to Emma Richardson and her family," he began. As cameras captured this moment, he acknowledged his oversight in handling Emma's suspension and the resultant turmoil. His sincere remorse was evident, marking a pivotal moment of acknowledgement and responsibility in his career. This incident has highlighted the perils of prejudgment and the necessity for deeper understanding within our school community, he admitted. His words, steeped in newfound wisdom, reflected a significant shift in his outlook as an educator and a leader, underscoring the importance of fair and informed decision-making. Throughout the press conference, Eric faced the media's probing questions with openness and honesty. He candidly acknowledged his errors in judgment and the importance of learning from this ordeal. As the community watched, their principal confronted his mistakes, embodying a powerful example of accountability and responsibility. It was looking good for him after all. Eric's appeal for understanding and respect within the school community was heartfelt. "We must know and respect every member of our community, regardless of their background," he emphasized. This call for empathy and inclusivity marked a crucial moment in the conference, showcasing his evolution and growth through this challenging experience. In the solitude of his office, Eric pondered over the entire situation. The incident profoundly impacted him, reshaping his professional and personal perspectives. He contemplated the hard-earned insights and how they would inform his future leadership approach, recognizing the necessity of these lessons for his growth. He was never going to forget this lesson. In a meeting with Emma and her mother, the initial tension gave way to a shared desire for understanding. Eric listened attentively, recognizing the significance of this dialogue in fostering healing and progress. This meeting was a crucial step towards reconciliation and a deeper understanding between the principal, student, and parent. Emma's mother, maintaining her composure, expressed a simple wish for Emma to be treated as any other student, unaffected by her political stature. Her words highlighted a mother's desire for normalcy in her child's life, a desire that had become entangled in the recent misunderstandings, adding layers to the complex situation. The meeting's shift from tension to understanding offers hope for resolving the complexities surrounding Emma's presence at the school. It underscores the importance of open communication and empathy in addressing sensitive issues. As the story continues, it will be interesting to see how this newfound understanding impacts Emma's experience at the school and her relationships with both her peers and the administration. Emma's gentle words of forgiveness marked a turning point in the conversation. The discussion that ensued revolved around mutual respect and the importance of understanding each individual's unique circumstances. Eric felt deeply relieved and thankful for Emma's forgiveness and her mature insights, which highlighted the need for empathy and respect in educational settings. The meeting served as a catalyst in unraveling the web of misunderstandings. Eric committed to better knowing his students and their backgrounds, a vow welcomed by Emma and her mother. This conversation concluded with a sense of resolution and a shared goal of fostering a more empathetic and connected school environment. Eric's post-meeting reflection led to a profound revelation. Understanding and respecting each student's unique story became the cornerstone of his leadership. This incident catalyzed a remarkable shift in his perspective, awakening a deep commitment to inclusivity and understanding in education. As he embarked on this transformative journey, little did he know that it would lead him to unexpected challenges, ultimately shaping him into a beacon of empathy and change within his school community. Eric's transformation reflects the power of empathy and personal growth. His commitment to inclusivity and understanding not only impacts the way he leads, but also has the potential to positively influence the school's culture and the lives of its students. As he navigates the challenges ahead, the story promises to explore the complexities of fostering a truly inclusive educational environment and the profound impact that one person's dedication to change can have on those around them.